Hello guys, and welcome back to my YouTube channel. I firstly just want to say that I'm so sorry for how long it has been since I uploaded my last video. It honestly feels like I haven't sat down and filmed a video in so long, and it has been about a month, so I am super sorry about that. It honestly feels so good to be sitting down and filming this video for you guys. If you follow me on Instagram, which is just mum2mason, you would already know that we have actually moved house, so we are now settled, unpacked, feels so good. So speaking of my Instagram, I did do a poll over there a few weeks ago now about which video you guys wanted to see next, whether it was a what's in your hospital bag and what you actually use, or a postpartum recovery video. So they did tie pretty evenly, it was about 50-50. So in this video I'm going to do a what I actually used in my hospital bag, and then next week I'm going to upload the recovery essentials video. So make sure you keep an eye out for that. If you are new here, hello and welcome. My name is Kaylee and I have a 4-month-old son named Mason. I upload videos every single week, so please go ahead and subscribe so that you don't miss out on any. Otherwise, if you do want to know what I used in my hospital bag, just keep on watching. The hospital bag that I actually took with me was a overnight bag, and then I took Mason's nappy bag for him. So I found it super easy having the two bags. It just meant that I could separate our things, and it made it a lot easier for me and my partner if we were looking for something in particular, whether it was me or for Mason. You could just go directly to that bag. Next time I would definitely take a bag that's on wheels, like a carry-on suitcase or something along those lines. I just think it would be so much easier when you're actually leaving the hospital. You've obviously just given birth, so you're super sore, and your partner can only carry so much. So I think having the bag on wheels definitely would have made things a lot easier. So I'm definitely going to do that next time, and I do recommend taking a roll-along bag if you are looking for a bag to take to the hospital with you. The first item that I probably got the most use out of was actually my pajamas. Now, surprisingly enough, I didn't think that I would get much use out of these. I packed them more so for labour because I knew that I'd want to be as comfortable as possible. And one thing that I didn't actually realise is when you are in labour, you have to wear the hospital gown. It's probably super naive of me, so I didn't get a whole lot of use out of the pajamas in labour. Once you've given birth and you have your first shower, you want to get changed into something that is super comfortable. The particular ones that I took were long sleeve silk pajamas from Peter Alexander. You can take pretty much anything. One thing that I would recommend though with your pajamas is to choose a pair that's dark in colour. So the ones that I used were dark navy, and the reason I say that is obviously you've just given birth, so you've got a lot of body fluids that are coming out of you pretty much from every direction. So I just felt a lot more confident that if it was to leak through, that it wouldn't be as noticeable. That's one thing that I definitely would keep in mind when you're packing your bag. The next thing that was in my bag were my maternity bra and underwear. So maternity bras you can pretty much buy anywhere. I just picked up a 2-pack from Target. They were really simple, super comfortable. They did the job. I still wear them now even though I'm not breastfeeding, just because of how comfortable they are. And then maternity underwear, again, I'd recommend getting dark in colour and high-waisted. I had a cesarean, so I love the fact that I bought high-waisted underwear just because it didn't irritate my scar. Even if you do have a natural birth, I'd still recommend taking high-waisted underwear as your uterus is still contracting back. You're still in quite a lot of pain, so definitely recommend those. And I just found them a lot more comfortable, to be honest, as well. And also because of how large the maternity pads are, they sit really nicely in sort of more granny style high-waisted underwear as opposed to like a G-string or anything like that. So while we are on the topic of maternity pads, I took my own pack of those and also breast pads. I wasn't sure whether the hospital that I gave birth at was going to supply them, and it turns out that they didn't. I mean, I didn't ask for them, but they also didn't just, I guess, hand them out. So I was super glad that I had my own. And I did want to bring my own anyway because I was worried that I would be hassling them in the middle of the night, you know, having to get the midwives to bring me some. So I was super happy that I did bring my own. Another item that I got so much use out of was my dressing gown. So this is something that, again, I wasn't really sure if I was going to use. I ended up wearing it pretty much all day, every day. Because I gave birth to Mason in the middle of winter, it was absolutely freezing in that hospital. So I was just super grateful that I had it with me, and my partner actually ended up wearing it a few times as well, because obviously he got really cold too. So I just took a big fluffy one. Depending on what time of year it is, obviously you can take a lighter one or a silk one or something like that. But again, you just felt a little bit more put together, but still super comfortable, which is, I guess, what you're aiming for in hospital, especially if you have a cesarean and you're there for a few days. I also bought marshmallow socks and slippers with me. This is totally just personal preference, but I wanted to have something for my feet so that I wasn't walking around the hospital floor. Again, it was really cold, it was winter, so I knew the marshmallow socks would keep me warm, and I got a lot of use out of the slippers at any time that I had to get up. And having a cesarean, they try and get you up and moving around the hospital quite a lot. I was super thankful that I did bring some slippers. So something else that I got a lot of use out of was actually my disposable thongs, or as flip-flops as you Americans like to call them. And I just used these when I was in the shower. And while we're on the topic of showering, I would also recommend taking your own toiletries. That was one thing that I was super thankful that I had with me. Yeah. So Mason has decided to join us in today's video. He was getting a little bit cranky just lying there. So the next item that I do want to speak about is toiletries. So I definitely recommend taking your own. I didn't expect the hospital to supply me with any, and it turns out that they didn't. So I was super thankful to have my own. And I feel like it just sort of brings a little bit of home with you to the hospital, and you feel a lot more refreshed when you're using products that you are familiar with and you obviously like. I just took my toothbrush, my toothpaste, face wash, moisturizer, body wash, hair ties, and hairbrush. So I did bring a few items of makeup with me. I did bring BB cream, mascara, bronzer, and lip gloss. I just had it in my head that I'd have all this spare time when visitors were coming to put makeup on, and to be honest, I just didn't even get the time to do it. I didn't really want to do it, so I didn't use any of that. Again, that's personal preference. I did bring it with me, but I definitely didn't use it. I did actually bring my laptop and my phone and obviously the chargers. The hospital did have paid TV as an option. I just chose not to do that. I felt it was just easier to bring my own stuff, and it just meant that I could watch, you know, Netflix and things like that. So I did also bring my birth plan and my pregnancy documents with me. In Australia, we have a pregnancy journal that the hospital give you, that they write all your notes and your scan information and things like that. So you do have to bring that with you. So I would recommend you bringing some snacks. It just saves yourself or your family member or your partner or whoever having to go to the vending machines and buy you some. You do obviously need quite a lot of energy for your labor, and obviously in hospital you do only get hospital food 3 times a day, and I don't know about you guys, but I'm always hungry, and when I was breastfeeding obviously you have quite a big appetite. I recommend some snacks as well. The last thing that I bought in my hospital bag was my going home outfit. So I didn't bring anything fancy, just maternity tights and a large baggy jumper. You still do have, I guess, quite a big belly, obviously nowhere near as big as when you're pregnant, but you still definitely don't come back to your size before you're pregnant. It was really cold. It was the end of July, which is winter in Australia, and I just wanted to be super comfortable, to be honest, so that's what I ended up wearing. I'm pretty sure that was everything that I had in my bag. So let's go ahead and talk about what we bought in Mason's bag. So in Mason's bag, I definitely overpacked for him, I think. But I am super glad in a way that I did. And it is something that I'd actually recommend doing, because when I went into labor, I had, I guess, the assumption that I was going to have a natural labor. I didn't have to have an elective cesarean, so I went into labor and then obviously went into hospital with the thoughts that I would just have a natural delivery. I do have a full birth story on my Instagram, which I will link below if you are interested. I did end up having to be rushed into an emergency cesarean, which of course meant that I was in hospital for a few days longer than I had originally anticipated. With Mason's bag, the first thing that I packed for him were some sleepers. I ended up taking the ones that had the mitts and the feet built in. I just thought it was a lot more convenient and easier. You don't have to pack socks and mittens as well. They're super inexpensive. I just got the ones from Bonds. They're super good quality, and they fit him really well, so I do recommend those ones. I packed a few in different sizes because obviously it's really hard to tell how big or small your baby is going to be when they are born. One thing that I do recommend though is to pack 5-0 sleepers. So when I was talking to my friends that had already had babies or watching YouTube videos and doing my research, a lot of people actually are against 5-0 sleepers because they don't think that their baby is going to be small enough. I highly recommend just buying 2 or 3 because you never know. And if your baby comes out and they don't fit in those, you can always donate them to charity. I was very thankful that I had them because Mason actually fit them perfectly, but I did bring a few 401s just in case. I also bought a few singlets for him. I knew that it was going to be super cold in the hospital and also when we were going home. I bring some beanies. I bought 2 or 3 I think to choose from. To be honest, he only really wore them for like 1 or 2 days while we were in the hospital, and then once he came home he really didn't wear them that often. The hospital did supply one when he was born, so it's definitely not a necessity in my opinion, but because they're obviously so young they definitely can't regulate their temperature, so they can get very cold very quickly, especially in the hospital. You okay? Mason's just lying on the bed next to me. He's trying to have a nap, so you might hear him. We just went through his 4-month sleep regression. Oh my goodness, let me tell you, that was something else. Also took some of my own swaddles and baby blankets. The hospital did supply a hospital swaddle, but to be honest, it's not the greatest quality and it is quite small. So I was super glad that we did have our own. And we also did have a few accidents in the first couple of days before I knew how to change him and tighten the nappy correctly. So I was really glad to have a few handy. It was super cold in the hospital, so I was glad that he did have a baby blanket. You can always ask the hospital for extra things if you need them. I was just happy to take my own. The next item I highly recommend, but it's definitely not a necessity, is we actually took an announcement plaque with us. So we actually had Fresh 48 photos booked for him. It's totally not a necessity, but I just thought it was super cute and made for a really cute photo, and he'll hold on to it for the rest of his life. So we actually took our own nappies and wipes. This probably seems a little bit over the top to some people, but again, the hospital didn't actually supply us with any nappies, so I was super thankful that I did bring my own. So Mason's used the brand Rascal and Friends since the day that he was born. I absolutely swear by them and recommend them to everyone. And then with his wipes, we actually use the Gaia baby brand. I'm not sure if I'm pronouncing that right, but they're the bamboo organic wipes. But that is everything. That's everything that I used and Mason used. So I hope that you found this video somewhat helpful. If you are just about to have a baby and you are getting ready to pack your hospital bag, that's super exciting and I wish you the best of luck for your birth. If you do have any questions though, please feel free to comment them below. Otherwise, my Instagram messages are always open. I hope that you enjoyed today's video, and if you did, please go ahead and give it a big like. And subscribe so that you don't miss out on any future videos. But thank you guys so much for watching, and we'll see you in the next video. Bye!